Hi, everyone. Welcome to the shift in sexual wellness from taboo to retail revolution. I am Rebecca Bartlett, the founder and creative director at Bartlett Brands. We are a creative innovation agency that develops and launches forward-thinking and culturally relevant brands in the health and wellness and beauty spaces. I'm speaking on this topic today because one of the brands that we launched several years ago was Playground Sexual Health and Wellness, and have become knowledgeable on this topic. And I'm here with the amazing Kirsten Ludwig. Hello.
Hi. So excited to be here with you, Rebecca. So, hey guys, I'm Kirsten Ludwig. I'm the founder of In Good Co. We're a global brand consultancy igniting challenger brands with fearless positioning. We're a women-led B Corp, and we help startups and Fortune 500s break through the noise. And we've worked with clients in this space like Sex with Emily, Beauty Grass, and many others. And I've been kind of previously a brand builder and disruptor at Fred Siegel, Ralph Lauren, and Anthropologie. And beyond kind of the day job, I really love pushing boundaries and giving voice to those whisper conversations that nobody wants to have, but everybody wants to hear. And this is certainly one of those. So let's get into it. So from taboo to retail revolution. So, it's so fascinating, and coming off of, as I mentioned, just at South by, heard a lot of these conversations around and was a part of a lot of these conversations. And something's happening that these are really going from whispers to the mainstream. It's something now that we are, as a society, talking about, but we have yet to really catch up with it from kind of an industry level. It's not just about products. It's about addressing a fundamental disconnect, not just in sexuality and sexual wellness, but really in wellness. And I think we're really facing a paradox around increasing cultural openness alongside of this, but really still very, very persistent systemic barriers. So sexual wellness products are now appearing in mainstream retailers like Target, Sephora, Ulta. There's strong enthusiasm around female empowerment and self-care narratives. Sexual wellness is definitely having a moment. There's a ton of articles, New York Times, a lot of things that we'll reference. And then the market still remains dominated by incumbents like Astroglide and KY. And we really see, and both Rebecca and I are part of emerging brands really kind of fighting that battle. And this particular sexual wellness market is projected to reach 80 billion by 2030. And the question is really, who's going to capture that value?
Yeah. I think when we launched Playground, we saw the market being dominated again by these incumbents, and then all of these emerging brands coming to market, which is really exciting. And here we are several years later, watching them continue to grow, but at the same time, not necessarily growing at the speed that we expected. Truth be told, I live in San Francisco. Kirsten's in LA. She's been in San Francisco and New York. I think because we work on these wellness all the time, you sort of forget like what the realities of the mainstream and what the masses feel in America. So just to kind of understand what the social barriers are to growth, now that we've had a couple of years to kind of analyze this, why is this happening? And the reality is the category is still really taboo to what we would say is probably about 85% of Americans, just deeply ingrained in social ecosystems such as, religion, politics, sexual trends. What's happening now, like for youth, for those who don't know, Gen Z is having 30% less sex than Gen X. So, that right there is a big slowdown. And then since the pandemic, I think across all generations, actually, there's been a little bit of a slowdown, and there's, for another day, so many factors that contribute to that. But also, when you think about the concentric categories of sexual wellness, which is like women's health and wellness, you're looking at a demographic, Gen X, right? Like Gen X's parents didn't discuss sex with us, like you were handed a box of tampons and sort of like shown the directions. And then, maybe someone checked in with you about sex, like in your 20s, and you're like, well, it's too late now. So, we're the people engaged in this category and truly will be driving the growth of the category, haven't exactly been in this world of like, oh, this is so comfortable to talk about. when we worked on Playground, that was something that we really tried to bring down, is like, obviously there's discomfort, and let's see if we can make this brand feel as like approachable and comfortable as buying skincare for your face. So, we kind of pulled a card from the beauty playbook. Yeah, I mean, other sort of like bigger issues with it is like just this massive education gap, like as I was speaking to as a Gen Xer, where it's like, you didn't get the education at a young age, but also, OBGYNs, like they don't talk about this with, their clients either. And essentially, and around menopause, they actually only learn about it in school for like an afternoon. So, when you go to your doctor and you're like, oh, I maybe have sexual dysfunction or something like that, due to falling estrogen, they're like, well, there's some drugs you can take. But Kirsten, what other retail and marketing challenges do you see beyond that?
Well, I think it's really true. I think just building off of what you were saying, doctors specifically get 4 hours generally to learn about menopause. So when you're going in and you're asking your doctor, I know most of the women that I know, like they've gone to their doctor and they've been like, oh, well, you need to go on an antidepressant or you need to do that. I think it's just a complete lack of knowledge within the space where you should be trusting and you should be going to a resource. Right. So then I think these conversations are moving in more culturally, and that women, to your point, like our parents never talked about this, and we're trying to talk about it within our community, and then certainly to our daughters in cases where we have them. And it's about how are we making this conversation louder, which I think is happening from a societal level for sure, but now marketing and brands need to kind of really catch up to that conversation. I think a fascinating double standard within this is looking at erectile dysfunction. Like Cindy Gallop brings up this a lot. If you look at kind of things that are talking about men's sexual wellness and men's health and wellness, they're much more allowed. Whereas, anytime we bring in and talk about vagina, like it's completely, shied away from in general.
LinkedIn is literally going to throw us off this live session for you saying that, because shocker, words such as vagina are banned from Meta and other platforms. So, again, increasing the difficulty of having open conversations and normalizing the conversation when a lot of the language around it, such as pleasure, obviously sex, you can't run ads with those words. Another major challenge and difficulty, I think, for the emerging brands in this space has been around funding. The category is still grossly underfunded. There's a lot of reasons for this, largely because, again, lack of education, but also, investors are predominantly male. If women don't understand what's going on in sexual wellness with their own bodies, how can we expect men who have never been women to understand this either? And so that's been really challenging to raise money for these brands so they can scale and grow. But there is hope, for the future. I think one of the biggest changes that we see now is the Gen Xers, they're in their 40s, they're in their 50s, and we want solutions to the things that are happening, the changes that our bodies are going through. Unlike previous generations where women suffered in silence, sexual wellness is obviously tied to health and wellness. And Gen X is very proactive about seeking solutions. And tied with that are platforms like MIDI Health, where you can talk about the whole range of intimacy care, sexual wellness, health and wellness tied to that. And so they have enabled women to find answers that they've been looking for and not previously been able to, get to the bottom of.
Yeah, I think this category and this opportunity excites me more than any other, because it's about taking marketing and not just doing the traditional marketing. It's an opportunity to really take what's been done in the past and really create empowering marketing around female brands supporting other female brands, women supporting women. And it's really an opportunity to completely change the marketing landscape. And I am thoroughly here for it.
I'm here for it too.
Amazing. This has been so much fun. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And those watching can connect with us. Rebecca, how can everybody connect with you?
You can find me on LinkedIn. My name is Rebecca Bartlett. You can find Bartlett Brands on LinkedIn or online at bartlettbrands.com, on Instagram. Yeah, we're
All the
out
places.
there. Google search.
Awesome. All the ways. And you can find me, Kirsten Ludwig, at LinkedIn as well. Our website is weareingoodco.com. And definitely subscribe to our Substack, Good Thinking, and then watch the weekly pod that we have based off of it. All right, guys.
Kirsten. Bye, everyone.
So good to see you. And next week, guys, another pair of board members will be live on Piping Hot, serving the tea. So stay tuned. Thanks, everyone.
All right, bye.